Welcome to Inside Auto Podcast, where we feature everyone and anyone you'd want to talk to in and out of the automotive industry.
Ilana Shabtai here, host of Inside Auto Podcast, where we interview top dealers, GMs, marketers, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders in and out of the automotive industry. And before we introduce today's guest, this episode is sponsored by AutoLeadStar.com. AutoLeadStar is automotive's first and leading customer data and experience platform, CDXP. Top dealers invest in CDXPs to unify dealership data sources, automatically create one-to-one customized journeys, and execute omni-channel shopping experiences, an all-in-one connected platform. Today, we are welcoming Ally Piñon to our podcast. How you doing? I know I butchered your last name. I've been practicing it for the past 5 minutes.
No, you actually said it perfectly. Piñon.
It's so beautiful. Originally from Guatemala. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Super excited to be on the show.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. Quickly introduce you and then we can get started. Ally is bilingual digital marketing with more than a decade of B2B and B2C marketing experience in the automotive industry. She serves as the digital marketing director for Texas-based Chastang. Did I say it right? There you go.
Yes.
Chastang Automotive Group, which includes Chastang Ford and Chastang Auto Car brands. And before Chastang, Ally worked for Legacy Ford. Throughout her career, she has managed and supported strategic efforts in brand reputation, advertising, content development, social media marketing, research and planning, community partnerships, and creative agency and vendor management. That's a lot under your plate. Wow. So, and now you recently just moved to Austin, correct?
Correct.
So you're doing a bit of commute here and there. How did you get into automotive?
So I fell into marketing back in 2012. I was an account executive for Telemundo and a couple of radio stations in New Orleans. So that was fun. And then most of my accounts were dealerships because it was such an easy sell. I would just walk in there and be like, hey, you want to buy Telemundo advertising? Here's your budget. Here's the ads, everything. And we'll come out. And everybody would be like, yes. And it was just so easy. And I'm like, man, do they even know where they spend their money? And
is it still like that with radio?
I don't think, not so much as it was before when I was selling it.
Yeah.
Because when I was in radio, we started diving into digital marketing. And so obviously their radio ads would be more driven to digital. So we would have to offer a digital plan for them. So their budget was getting cut in half and moved into digital, or more than half, really, 75% of it.
Yeah. Oh, so interesting. That's such an interesting way to get into automotive.
Yeah. So I got to learn, because most of my clients would be on for year over year. And then I would always get asked oh, you should come work for me in-house. And I'd be like, no, it's okay. Cause I was based off commission. So I was making okay money. And then finally somebody said, I moved to Houston in 2016, started working for Clear Channel, a billboard company, which it sucked. I did not like selling billboards. It was boring.
Yeah.
But it was easy. It was an easy sell.
Right? You were like, oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go to a dealership and they would buy billboards. And I'm and I was just man, they really do just spend money anywhere. And, and so finally a dealer was like, why don't you work for me in-house? And I was like, you know what, let's try it. And I started in at Legacy, and I did their marketing, their event planning. They had me do a little bit of customer relations, managing deal, delivering vehicles and getting to know the process for sales. And it was a lot. And when I was in there, I was there's got to be more people like me, because I can't be the only one struggling as an in-house marketing manager for a dealership. But yeah, that's how I got started. And then Chastang, somebody referred me to the Chastangs and they reached out. And so I've been with them for 3 years now.
Oh, great. And so just a couple more questions about your time at Legacy, because it sounds like you were doing a lot there. Were you also doing the management of the marketing software / vendors in addition to events. Oh, wow.
So addition to events, which was like a lot. So I found myself like working on weekends and I basically worked like 7 days a week.
Wow.
It was,
okay.
Yeah.
And now do you have a team? You're in-house at Chastang. Do you have a team?
I do not have a team.
You're just like, there must be more people like me.
Yes.
And that's how you fell into AutoGenius.
And that's how I fell into AutoGenius. So honestly, if it wasn't for Clubhouse, I wouldn't have known that there was like more people out there. Cause so at Legacy, I would see like these conferences like NADA, Digital Dealer, and I'd be like, oh, what is that? But I was never like allowed to go. So I didn't have any kind of networking or anything. And then Clubhouse came on and I got on there and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many of us.
Did we cross paths on Clubhouse? I had like a good 3 to 4 month run, I think.
Yeah.
So as long, but
probably. Well,
so
because I got on it in 2020.
Yeah, of course.
So like it was like December.
Yeah, I remember Kyle Mountsier invited me.
Okay.
And then I also, and it was like it was at the time when it was only iPhones, right?
Yeah.
You joined then. And then I also got like 3 invites. And I remember I used it so much, like you would get like 3 more invites if you used it more. It was just it was an interesting rollout. They did a really good job actually in the rollout.
They really did. And now it's just kind of like,
Yeah. So that's how you got into so that's how you realized, okay, there's a network, there's other people I can connect with doing similar work. And then that led you to AutoGenius.
Yeah.
Right. Is that how that worked?
So I networked within, so I met Kyle on there. Ben was on there and Paul Daly, and then just so many people. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when they did the first conference in Napa for Brian Pasch's conference.
Mm-hmm.
AAS.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was in Napa, and that was like the first conference that we went to in person, like after the whole like shutdown. And then everyone like from Clubhouse that I knew was going to that conference.
Nice.
And then I like connected with everyone, and it was just
a conference queen ever since then.
Ever since then, I've just been going to them.
They're great. Honestly, I absolutely love them. As you know, I travel across the world for them. So
right. And we could like capture you for more than 24 hours.
Yeah. Well, and I'll be there for like 3 days. It's a world record.
Yeah.
But we did just get to spend some time together at MRC, which was really fun. Modern Retail Conference run by Brian Pasch. You just came back from it as well. Well, what did you think of the conference?
I thought it was a ton of information, right? Like a little overload where I had to like step out a little bit and just kind of like watch TikTok for 10 minutes. Just to kind of like, But honestly, it's a ton of information. And then I got to be part of the creative track with Paul and Kyle and Nathaniel and Darren Doan. So that was fun. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. So you got to speak about like the creative strategies that you do at the dealership.
Yeah. So we talked about creative strategies, like how important it is to be like authentic, different ways to make videos, TikTok videos, reels, like shorts. I mean, those are pretty much in right now. And then Nathaniel had like a really good workshop where he talked about his team and what they do and how involved they are with the community. So that was pretty cool.
That is really cool. So right now you run your TikTok and reels and shorts, all that for the dealership?
Yeah.
You do all of it?
All of it.
And do you use like some kind of software to help you just like video edit?
Yeah. So it's funny because I started doing my video editing in Adobe Premiere Pro. And I usually like start off in there and then I just export it out and like I end up using Canva.
Because really? I actually think it's really good, honestly.
Yeah. Canva. I mean, and they just came out with like their new feature, like the beta feature where you could like edit the video and take out the background. They have like so many cool features in Canva, which I'm like obsessed with.
That's amazing.
But so I use Canva and then I use like Video Leap, which is easy because they'll usually have like the templates done for most popular templates used on like TikTok. and you
Yeah.
just add in your videos and they do all the editing for you.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Jumps and stuff. Like, oh, I'm going to like jump and then I'm just going to end up on the beach.
Yeah.
Nathaniel loves that move. So you can tell I don't do the content creation for Auto Lead Star, but I really do appreciate people that can do it. So that's great. Awesome. And then I see your LinkedIn slogan, bridging the gap between marketing and automotive sales to fixed ops. Can you tell me how you're achieving this, doing this, like what you're tapping into? I think that's like a goal that most people should have in automotive right now. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about it.
Yeah. So coming in-house, I noticed that a lot of dealers focus their marketing on sales. And I mean, obviously that shifted after like with the lack of inventory, they started looking at fixed ops. But I think it's more like, okay, this is what we're doing for marketing, and this is how it attributes back to sales, and then back to like service and parts. And we have like a large parts department. We do a lot of wholesale. So being involved in that was a complete game changer for me, just to kind of like learn new things and like new processes that they have. But
yeah, then does that kind of feed in, like when you think about your strategy, does that feed back into like how you set up your marketing messaging, or do you feel like you set up your marketing messaging and then go in and try to influence kind of like their structure? Again, it's different at every dealership. So
yeah, because we're B2B and like a big commercial store, I see like what their process is and their structure. And then I go back to the marketing and seeing like, how should we do our marketing to obviously, communicate to the customers that they need.
Yeah, right. I forgot to even talk about this. So this is so interesting because a lot of the dealers that come onto this podcast are B2C, regular dealerships, or a truck store, B2B. Can you tell me a little bit about that? So because it's like sets for your entire position, but yeah, no, it's really interesting.
So yeah, which when I and it was so funny because when I started at Chastang, the manager was like, okay, my goal is to sell 75 retail units. And I was like, oh, that's cake. Like that's easy. Like you're like downtown Houston, centralized, like it should be easy. Well, it's actually really hard. But he's so they're commercial. They do a lot of B2B fleet, commercial retail. And that's like our main bread and butter. So we don't sell Mustangs because we're a truck store, and we don't have like a primary location to sell. So like we don't have a PMA.
So
like
interesting.
Most dealerships have.
Because you can just ship out anywhere because you're B2B.
Right.
That's
really which we do.
Yeah. You don't have, I understand the Mustang, no Mustangs at Chastangs, but
yeah,
it's your motto. But you don't even have like Fusions or anything.
No.
It's literally just like.
The only cars that we have is like our used cars, which we don't have like a ginormous used car lot either. Like we have like maybe 50 of them on the lot, just to like give alternatives to consumers that we are like, for retail customers that we are trying to bring in and grow that side of the business.
And so how did the inventory shortage affect your business and the business model there?
I don't think it really, like on the commercial side, it really didn't.
Okay.
Because we already like do all the ordering. So we basically, for commercial, we've ordered trucks for businesses before. So our build-in price process has been implemented before COVID.
Okay, cool.
And so we basically took that process and put it in retail, and we were like, build-in price your retail unit. Oh
yeah. So you were really set up for success.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. And then what do you predict? Well, what's going to be your main focus, if you have one or if you've thought about it, for 2023 when it comes to your marketing strategy? Is there anything that you think you're going to change, you're going to focus on more, just based on like what you've learned from the past conferences and this community and other things that you've been focusing on?
Great question, because I just did the 2023 planning meeting.
Wait, I'm right on time.
Yeah. So, which is cool because our store, and I know like not a lot of stores do it, but our store basically takes 2 days out of 1 week in November, and we basically get all the managers together and we put a plan of what we're going to do for the following year. Like, what did we do great, and then what are we going to do? So for the marketing aspect, yeah. So the marketing aspect, we're really going to focus on our Spanish customers because we may or may not get a PMA, like a locality.
Okay.
It's not like official yet, but we're going to focus on an area of town where they don't really have a dealership nearby, which is the east side of Houston. And I did my homework. 59% of them speak Spanish at home. And then we're going to like try to compete with like, cause they really buy Toyotas, they buy Chevys. So we're trying to compete with those brands and like really target that audience. So we're really going to focus on Spanish.
That would be good for you.
Yeah. So I get to put my Spanish to work.
Yeah. I'm still very jealous about that. Lived in Miami 4 years and can't say anything, but that's okay.
I mean, I feel like they should have taught you.
No,
it was Cubans.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, when I would walk around, some people would come up to me and speak to me in Spanish and would be like, oh, and then I would be like, no hablo English.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay.
Bye. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah. But then I would walk around with my friends that do Spanish, and it was just like so beautiful. So I am always really jealous. Okay, so that's great. Is there anything else that you think you're going to focus on, or you think that's going to be like the bulk of the new strategy that you're going to be implementing?
It's going to be the bulk of the new strategy that we're going to be implementing. And obviously, like being in-house also helps me understand like what's happening. So I know that we need Spanish speaking salespeople, which we're also working on. So until we get our in-house stuff in order, then I could just start advertising in Spanish, because last thing you need is somebody coming in because we advertise in Spanish and we can't give them the A1 experience.
Right. Yeah. It's also so cool that you're like, obviously there's advantages and disadvantages to being the only person on the marketing department. But one of the advantages is that you're like really plugged into the other departments, and you can have that control to make sure that there's that smooth transition, and that the messaging is literally one-to-one from on the website, off the website, on the website, and then in the store. And, you know, the bigger you get, and as you scale, that's always a little tricky to control. That's a huge advantage. But then
and we just thought, and which was cool about it also, because not only was I part of the market, like doing the marketing, but also like kind of looking over our CRM, like playing a BDC manager, which I was like, this is taking too much time, because somebody really needs to be in the CRM like all the time. But so we just hired a BDC manager, and she's like been super helpful with the process of like how things get done.
That's awesome. And so I'm sure you guys will work closely together.
Yeah, we work hand in hand.
That's amazing. That's great. So
I didn't get like a marketing team, but I got a.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like it's kind of an extension of the marketing team if you think about it. Well, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge with us. I'd love to have you back. For all of you guys that are listening, Inside Auto Podcast, you can find us on all the podcast apps. InsideAutoPodcast.com. Ally, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Inside Auto Podcast. Check out our other episodes with top entrepreneurs and industry leaders.